We got to the cup. Ferns then had a team and we had the cup.
Yeah, but before that, like Jim, before that was at county level. Then we had to call our own meeting here up in the cinema,
That's right,
which is now the community centre up there. And there was a meeting called up there, and the various people was elected. Pat Tracy, Lord of Mercy on Pat, was the chairman. Toddy and Jim and Paddy Hall, and they were all involved. John Foley was the treasurer, and we got together anyway. And the team we were to go ahead anyway. This team was to go ahead. Now, at the meeting was, what was this team going to be called, or who was going to call the name of it? So we had a man called Johnny Cairns. He lived down here in Clone. Holdings were very great with little Johnny, and Johnny was a staunch member of the Three-Way Rovers Athletic Club, and there was nobody really come up with any name, but Johnny said, why don't we call this team Ferns Athletic? So because there was no one said anything, and so it was. That's where the Ferns Athletic came out, from Johnny Cairns below at Clone. That's where that started. And
do you know something, Karen? I always said to you, that team that we had that time would have beaten any of the Ferns teams.
It was a good side. It was a very, very good side that we had.
We might have had one or two sort of not great players, but everybody else were good, really good, skillful players that they were, in all honesty.
Again, then, and at the same meeting, then it came up about the colours. What colour were we going to use? And at the time, it was West Ham was one of the top teams in England, and this great Trevor Brooking, but there was 4 or 5 West Ham followers in the little audience that we had, and someone said, why not West Ham? Oh my God. The West Ham colours was taken on, and they started in 1959 with West Ham, and it's still West Ham colours. But the strange thing about it, and I'd have to mention this thing, that when you think about the pitch in the Palace Lawn, we had 2 men that time, Jack Blackburn and Philly Bryan in the V, and the older fellas would certainly have to know the 2 of them. But they were the 2 men responsible for marking out the pitch below in the Palace Lawn. And they had the state of the art for marking out the ground, a bucket of whitewash and a whitewash brush. And they went down there every Sunday morning, Jack Blackburn and Philly, and they marked out that pitch without the slightest bit of bother. In 1959 then, we decided that we'd enter into the Wexford League. Now, at the time there wasn't a Wexford League because there wasn't enough of teams in the county. In actual fact, we were the 4th team, but unfortunately, what happened in that time, Jim, we had to enter the Leinster Junior League, which was certainly a little step up from our level of playing on our first year in. But however, we went into that league, we knocked some of the top teams in it, so we weren't too bad as we thought we were.
Oh, we had a good team, I tell you.
Unfortunately, the circumstances, the problem that we had was we didn't have any money. And the second thing is we didn't have any transport. Now the situation in that league was that we could have to travel to Rathdrum or travel up to Bray or to Arklow Town, and the next Sunday then we'd be down in Wexford Town playing St. John's, so we really didn't have the funds. So the only good thing that came out of that era was that there was a Wexford Cup, and we got into the Wexford Cup anyway, and the draw was made. There was only 4 teams in the county, and we were drawn, yeah, against Bowl of Vogue in the semi-final, and Enniscorthy Town was drawn against St. John's. But however, we stepped up to the mark anyway against Bowl of Vogue, and I think we gave them a fair lesson in football on the day.
We won't repeat the score.
We won't repeat the score, and I think, Jim, you had
I scored 4.
4. I know you had a brave hand in that, and it was a pity because you ran to brat at the team at the time. I
Only chap.
But anyway, as you say, you banged in 4, and at the time that you were playing, you didn't have any bother with it either. Well, however, I came on anyway, and we won ours in Enniscorthy Town won there, so the next thing we were sent for
Wasn't there a toss for home and away?
Enniscorthy Town. Well, I don't really remember the toss. Whatever sort of a committee we had in the county, our chairman, he sent us down anyway, but we had to go play in Enniscorthy Town in Perth Road. And Enniscorthy Town had a little small box pitch, and as Pat Tracy said before we left Ferns, he said, look now lads, what we want in here is the win is the bonus, but certainly a draw. And we were wondering why the draw was.
Right.
Because Tracy always believed that if we got in Enniscorthy Town onto the big pitch in the Palace Lawn, we would hammer them. Well, anyway, we went into Enniscorthy full blown, and we took on Enniscorthy Town, but it ended up in a 1-1 draw. So Tracy put back the railway cap on his head, and as we ride back to Ferns, he was as happy as Larry for the replay, because we were bringing Enniscorthy Town to the Palace Lawn where we needed him. But the unfortunate thing about it was that Enniscorthy Town knew that if they came to Ferns to the large pitch, that Ferns was going to beat them. But weeks went by, and months went by,
Postponed
and postponed it, and done everything and anything, all right, Jim?
They done everything.
And they ended up that was never played.
And we shared the cup.
If you look at the history of the Ferns club, you'll see that cup was drawn in the 59-60. That was put down as a draw.
A draw.
Both teams shared
Shared the cup for 6 months.
that was wrong. That was wrong. Yeah. Because we were ready for the replay.
We were ready to play, but they wouldn't play.
They wouldn't play us. Now, we had a team, and a fairly good team, which I'm going to pass you over to Jim there. Jim will give you the layout of the team, who was on it, and this is the very first team, ever played soccer in Ferns. Here it goes now, Jim.
John Foley.
I'll ask you, in goal.
In goal, Paddy Holden.
Right full.
John Foley.
Left full.
Victor Dial.
Right half.
Pat Dial of the halfway house.
Bunclawdy. Centre half.
Ned Ellis.
The big towering man from Lodgewood. Left half.
Pardon?
Andy Killeen. From the Station Road.
That's right.
Now you had 3 outside left, then you had Tommy
Hawkins. Correct.
Coolbawn. Centre forward.
Centre forward, Billy Rowan.
And Kilrush in the Station Road. And myself here.
It's Kevin Murphy.
Yeah, Kilthomas and now Park Mirror.
That's right.
And inside left we had
Jim Holden, myself.
The old man.
Yeah. Only the chap in the team.
And inside right
was Colin Fanning.
Colin Fanning, local postman and formerly from Clowen.
That's right. And then we had the reserves were Toddy Holden, rest in peace, Jergan, and
Jakey Power.
Rest in peace.
Rest in peace. And that was our full panel.
Yes, that was all we had. That was all the players we had.
That's all the players we had. So then, that was 59-60, and Enniscorthy saw the cup, but I don't think we here in Ferns ever saw that cup. But let's be fair about it, we would have won it.
We knew we were the best.
We would have won it.
We knew we were the
no
best.
doubt in saying that. But unfortunately,
of course, you remember the shared cup as well.
Oh yes, I don't know how you have a cup, like, you know. we never saw the cup, you know. We never saw that. And
I'm told by the other players that time that was Enniscorthy just wouldn't play us.
Just wouldn't play, like. At that time, you see, we were fairly good. You know, you had the Ducker up, Jim Holden up, Kevin Murphy, like, you know, nice footballers, lovely footballers. You know, Jim was good and so was Tommy, like, 2 men to be reckoned with up in the forwards.
Unfortunately, circumstances arose in 1961 where we lost some of our players, and as you know, our panel of players was very, very small at the time, 12, 13, but we lost some of our players. Jim Holden there, our striker, he moved off to England to his brother for, I suppose, for better things. And I myself joined the Defence Forces. And
Ned then.
we lost Ned Ellis then. Ned went to Dublin to work on the buses. And it sort of broke the back in the team in one way. And in the summer of 1961 then, Ferns Athletic come to an abrupt end. We could no longer carry on.